So this is also a favorite session of mine because it's about the favorite decade of Bollywood for many of us, the swinging 70s, and it's an anthology. The book is an anthology of essays, so we've got a couple of the essays as well as one of the people who edited the volume. So it's my pleasure to welcome back to the festival a very regular delegate, Aniruddha Bhattacharya, a winner of the National Award twice for Best Book on Cinema. Aniruddha is a distinguished alumnus awardee of IIT Kharagpur. His books include biographies of R.D. Burman, Kishore Kumar, Basu Chatterjee, S.D. Burman, and his latest book is on Lata Mangeshkar called Lata Mangeshkar, My Favorites. Also in the panel is Nirupama Kotru, who's an officer of the Indian Revenue Service, Income Tax. She's at present Joint Secretary Government of India. Her interests include writing short stories and poems in English and Hindi, and articles on cinema, parenting, and other topics. She is also a singer. She's the co-editor of this anthology. And among the people who have contributed, we have the stalwart film writer, Ratnottama Sengupta. In 2017, Ratnottama Sengupta turned director with And They Made Classics, a documentary on the unique bonding between screenwriter Nobindu Ghosh and iconic director Bimal Roy. In 2024, she contributed to the book we are discussing, which is The Swinging 70s. And in conversation is somebody who has contributed to the book, but is also a festival favorite and our go-to man for all the sessions that seem a little to require a lot of reading. So that's Balaji Vittal. He's a National Award-winning and Mammy Award-winning author of Bollywood books, a columnist, podcaster, a TEDx speaker, and a Bollywood commentator. He's also put his Twitter handle, which is Vittal Balaji, and his website, which is balajivittal.com. So over to you, Balaji. I now hand the session over to you, and welcome Ratnadi, welcome Onida, and welcome Nirupama.
Shyamo wrote a book called Don't Disturb the Dead. Fantastic book on the horror genre of Bollywood. So I think what he's saying now is don't disturb Shyamo. He'll be seated somewhere in the back rows.
So you're equating him with the dead? No?
Just his silence reminds me of the book.
Silence of the Lambs.
You know, when things happen, they really happen. Like in July 1969, Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon, and then music found its great escape in Woodstock in the end of the decade in 1960s, and Led Zeppelin introduced the world to heavy metal. And music was never the same. Midnight Cowboy premiered. It was the first X-rated movie, to win an Academy Award. And it was the evening of the 1960s, segueing into the 1970s, setting the tone, setting the pitch, setting the theme, setting the mood. So to capture this star-style substance and fun and excitement.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
What was the last Hindi film censored in 1969?
1969?
Yeah, the last Hindi film censored on that date.
I can take a guess.
Yeah. 31st December 1969.
69. No, then my guess would be wrong because Aradhana released just before that. No,
Aradhana released on 24th October.
Then my guess would be wrong. Anyway, anyone guessing?
Rivoli.
Okay. So anyway.
So you have not read my Basudha book well.
Okay.
It was Sara Akash.
Sara Akash, okay. 31st December.
But then, because we are talking the swinging 70s, can I ask you what was the first film censored in
1970, 1st January, I do not know. Frankly speaking, I do not know.
Thank God, I'm feeling much better now. So, to capture all this spice substance, we have this book called The Swinging 70s, published by Om Books and edited by Nirupama Kotru and Shantanu Raichaudhuri. Nirupama having taken the lead on this. Now, what we'll do is we have a very eminent panel, as Malavika kindly introduce all of us. Now, Nirupama, without giving too much away about the book, because we also want a line similar to that, right, of the same length after this session. What
Ambitious, but Durja is competing with cinema, so don't be surprised.
Okay. So, please share about how the idea germinated about this book and what went into it, without giving too much away. Yeah.
Thanks, Balaji, and happy to see a very discerning audience here. I mean, it's really nice to come to Kolkata and have book lovers turn out in large numbers. All the sessions have been really well attended. It was really a chance. Shantanu came to me and said that I'm thinking of doing this anthology. And first we debated about why an anthology. He said I could have written it myself, but do you think it's a good idea? So I said, sure, because between the two of us, we knew and we know some of the best authors, critics, film reviewers in the country. 3 of whom are here. I mean, they all celebrated authors and writers and a whole lot of others. I mean, authors like Amitava Kumar came in, and then I also wanted to bring in industry insiders. So if you see the book, there's a whole chapter called Industry Insiders, because I've been fortunate to have been part of the INB Ministry. I was director of films there. So one knew a lot of very good, brilliant filmmakers. So Vishal Bhardwaj came on board, Rajat Kapoor came on board. Then I came to know people, Ketan Mehta. So they all wrote, they took out time and actually wrote or talked to me. Then I spoke to Subhash Ghai, because I wanted to get, all the different kinds of filmmakers. So if Rajat talks about his mentor, Mani Kaul, then you have some Ketan Mehta giving a different perspective. You have Vishal Bhardwaj talking about how Gulzar Saab inspired him to come to films. Subhash Ghai talking about his struggle and how he felt you can make commercial cinema which also has better aesthetics than the run-of-the-mill. Yeah. So I wanted to bring all these insiders, and honestly, whenever I talk to anybody from the industry, I tell them it's a gift to you, not just the reader. It's actually meant for every film student, every film lover, every aspiring filmmaker, because you should see the journey. Where has our cinema started and where is it going? I would say by 70s it had started maturing. And that's why this decade is so important. In terms of music, storytelling, dialogues, I mean, of course, these two were the defining or 2 or 3 aspects of that decade. Storytelling was extremely strong, which is why even today, if you switch on a television, a channel like Z Cinema or something, a 70s movie, you'll be hooked on within minutes because the stories were so appealing. And then the dialogues and the music, fantastic. So, all these aspects attracted us, and we were really lucky. We started with a few, and writers kept joining, and we ended up with 44 contributors. So it's been really an enriching and exciting experience. I really loved to, steer this. I was very happy to do this.
Thanks, Nirupama. Let's talk a little bit about music, which is one of the defining elements of the decade. Aniruddha, of course, R.D. Varman ruled the decade, no doubt about it. But also, if you look at it, some of the stalwarts of the 1960s, like Naushad, O.P. Shankar Jaikishan, they sort of faded away very quickly at the turn of the decade, while others like Sholi Chaudhary, S.D. Burman, Madan Mohan, they not only survived but thrived. What was the difference between the first category and the second category of composers that I spoke about?
It's difficult to so-called pigeonhole things here, but see, number one is you miss out on the camps. Shankar Jaikishan, after Jaikishan died, Shankar lost a lot of usual filmmakers. Raj Kapoor left him, then Bapi Soni left him, so and so. So he had to survive with some stupid films like Sannyasi and Das Nambari, which thankfully nobody remembers now.
I remember Das Nambari for a very different reason.
Now, like Naushad refused to change his style. He had to. And Naushad signed a 3-film contract with Rajendra Kumar, and they made some horrible films like Gawan, which again, fortunately, nobody remembers now.
Not even in the tier 3 cities. गंवार वहाँ भी नहीं चला था.
नहीं, Gawar, and then what was that? Tangewala.
I've somewhere heard about this film, but I don't really
I've seen these
about it.
films. I've actually seen these films.
I saved 3 rupees. So.
Whatever. Madan Mohan, he was selective. Okay. Like he never had a very strong fraternity to serve him there. Except, say for example, your Chetan Anand. And Chetan Anand, thankfully, he stuck to Madan Mohan. And hence we had Heer Ranjha, we had Hasde Zakam, we had Hindustan Ki Kasam. Salil Chaudhary, Rishikesh Mukherjee in and out, but Rishikesh Mukherjee, Oshit Sen started using Salil Chaudhary after Roshan died. So he had the help of the Bengali fraternity. And the rest, you had Lakshmikant and Co, Kalyanji, Anandji, and of course Rahul Dev Burman.
Yeah, of course. This year is Sholi Chaudhury's birth centenary. So, Nirupama, what did you think?
Balaji, I differ here. If you check Gautam Chaudhury's site, and it's a very well researched one.
It is, yes.
Sholi Chaudhury was born either in 1922 or 23. And he was also Oshit Sen's classmate, the filmmaker Oshit Sen's classmate at Bangobashi College, right? And Oshit Sen is also 22 born. But in India, official ages are not the
Yeah, right. That even S.D. Burman's, this was
5 years.
5 years,
5
exactly.
বছরের।
So, anyway, whether 100 years or 103 years, whatever be the number, can we have Salil Chaudhary number?
I hope
Nirupama
it's
is a
not
very
too
good singer.
early in the session to have a song, but for Salil, of course. This is from Rajnigandha, which actually is one of my favorite films of the 70s, and not just 70s, but all-time favorites, because it was based on this short story by Manu Bhandari, one of the pioneers of the Nai Kahani movement in Hindi literature, and it's a feminist story. It's about a woman making choices. You know, the protagonist is a woman, Vidya Sinha, and she gets a job offer in Bombay, and she has to make the choice whether to stay back or go. It's very appealing to me. And the music was by Salil Chaudhary, and Yogesh wrote the lyrics. So I'll just sing one stanza from that. अधिकारी जब से साजन का हर धड़कन पर माना मैंने, मैं जब से उनके संग बंधी ये भेद भी जाना मैंने, कितना सुख है बंधन में रजनी गंधा फूल तुम्हारे, महके ही जीवन में आयूं ही महके प्रीत पिया की मेरे अनुरागी मन में. Thank you.
Ratnadi, you have written a wonderful chapter on the women of the 1970s. Jaya Bahaduri was almost always the good girl next door, as what you had written out there. And then the rest of them, for example, Zeenat Aman was always part of some smuggling gang or other. For some reason, I don't know why she landed up there, and she had to land up there every time. And Parveen Babi, I don't know, something in between, but mostly she always played the fashionable girl. Apart from Hema Malini, I don't think many of them could switch between one or the other. Was it because she played Sita or Geeta? So that itself became a template for her being able to play both the roles? Or what was it? I thought they were very compartmentalized, very siloed, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
See, Babaru Baba Chilo, so all these heroines before them, we had pardon my Bonglish. We had divas. We had Meena Kumari, we had Wahida Rahman, we had Sonutan, all of them. In the 60s, well, until the 60s, the heroines had to be pristine. They were heroines, they were not actors, by the way. Huh? They were heroines for us, and they had to be very pristine. Shari porbe. Helena ji nachto, she would have, we were told, no, she's not bare-bodied. She's wearing she's wearing a bodysuit, like it's skin-colored, so you can't make out, but she's not bare-bodied. Like it was, we were assured that even the bad girls are not really bad. And you mentioned Joya Bhaduri was always a very good girl. She was also naughty in Upahar and all. Naughty, but in that good sense. Dushtu, not Baje. So that categorization started dissolving in the 70s. Like so many other things. This stereotypical hotel, Helen, villain, action, dance, that formula started to dissolve. And what happened was, just as, the heroines were right there, somewhere up there, always beautiful, always, languorous, and always, in a different world where they were either mourning, sorrowing, or they were, like ruling over lives. It started coming down to even me. We are not always mourning. You and me, we're going out like this, and we're doing fun, and we're doing also important jobs. So it wasn't as if, going out to work was, one sin that one committed, as they did when Mahanagar was made, and so on. You didn't have to sacrifice to be a woman in the 70s. Growing up, before that, we used to, in Bengal in particular, বিয়ের পরে তো MA, বিয়ে হয়ে যাবে, মা হয়ে যাবে. That was the general attitude. But বিয়ের পরে MA and then doctorate, DR after that, or whatever, and a job with some designation after your name, those became our, set things. During my lifetime itself, when I was in Elphinstone College, and what after this? Some job or some part, to play in society. Not necessarily in terms of money earning, but that came with my son's generation. What price you start your career. But coming back to you, why Hema Malini was one of the, she is a continuation of the Vaijantimala, Padmini kind of generation, where she actually learned dance. But when she came in as the dream girl Hema Malini, Sapno Ka Saudagar, Raj Kapoor, with all of that, she still had a mother sitting in the makeup room when she was shooting. By the time we come into 70s, the mothers are being told, no, you don't have to come to the studio. You stay at home. The mothers are still bringing their Sridevis in, but they're no longer ruling the lives. The girls have now got a hold over their lives, if not total command. Parveen Babi, Zinat Aman before that. Zinat Aman got a fabulous break in the sense that when Dev Saab did Hare Rama Hare Krishna, he wanted a girl who would be accepted as westernized and still have sympathy. Before that, we had Purab Pachim, where westernization was bad. Perhaps as bad, or if not worse, than being a cabaret dancer. Yeah. But by the 70s, as I said, not only college education, completing college education, but thereafter, a life thereafter was already a set norm. And so what the heroines were doing also was changing, and it was reflecting in the films.
Excellent, excellent analysis. Now, one of our contributors, as I said, Shamo Dashgupta is there in the first row. Shamo, I have to ask you this question. You know, we had the middle of the road cinema in the 70s, right? And Anudra has written an excellent book on Basu Chatterjee, which covers a whole lot of this middle of the road cinema. But then on both sides of the road, okay, on either pavement, there was this absolute art house cinema. And then there was a mainstream commercial cinema, the Ramesh Sippy, Nasir Hussain, Manmohan Desai, Prakash Mehra type, right? How did the art house, I can understand the middle of the road cinema existing because there's got to be a median, okay? So maybe it was natural. But how did the art house and the absolute mainstream cinema, was it the same audience visiting the theaters, or was it a different set of audience where they compartmentalized? You have written something very well about it. Can you just talk
Can
about
I
it?
just mention your essay first? So Shamu
Mention
has
the name of
written this
your,
excellent
essay.
essay called Bachchanpur to Ghatak Nagar, a family trip through the 70s. So it's a very intriguing title.
Not only the audience, even the homes were divided.
Yes.
Yeah. So
One more thing, Shamo is actually related to the Ghataks, Ritvik Ghatak. I know his cousin, who's a Dadu, is Munish Kumar Ghatak, Ritvik Ghatak's elder brother.
Yes. I only have to guess at your answer. I'll tell you what I feel. I obviously wasn't quite there at the time to know details, but what I feel and what I've kind of written in the piece is also that 70s, by the time we came to the 70s, and this is for everyone, by the time we came to the 70s, I think the euphoria post-independence had sort of gone down. There's my understanding. And, you know, the problems of freedom or problems of trying to manage the country by ourselves, joblessness, there was of course, the wars, economic crisis, much that was going on. And it affected everyone in perhaps different ways, but not entirely. It was similar ways. So what I feel is that when you look at the Diwar or that sort of mainstream cinema, I don't want to say Angry Young Man, but that sort of mood in cinema, the mainstream cinema, plus say Ghatak or Shyam Benegal and the various other parallel filmmakers was very similar. There was disgruntlement across the country, and I think what Naseeruddin Shah or Puri sort of portrayed in the parallel space was pretty much what Amitabh and various others portrayed in the mainstream space. And of course not the same. Amitabh was trying to become the richest don around, and of course that was not what Naseeruddin Shah was doing in the Shyam Benegal film. But and therefore the audience was divided in terms of what A wanted to see and what B wanted to see. Clearly, the people who were watching Amitabh films were much greater in number. It was a more entertaining way to sort of discuss the time. But yeah, that's what I feel, that they had to coexist because they were coming from the same place. The expression was different, is what I feel.
So Albert Pinto was not very different from Vijay Verma, right? Of Diwar.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, or Satya, was it in the 70s? I think that was 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
But I get your point.
But
Yeah,
yeah, the
absolutely.
point is kind of the same, yeah.
Yeah, I have a difference of opinion here. Vijay Verma, he was quite exciting. Albert Pinto was very boring here. So let's accept it.
Because of the budgets, the budget's very different. Yash Chopra budget is very different.
In fact,
Forget that. In fact, the character was boring.
There's one of the essays under the section Themes and Tropes was written by Ambarish Roy Chaudhary. I think all of you will enjoy it. It's called A Tale of Two Vijays, Violence in Hindi Cinema of 70s from Salim Javed to Vijay Tendulkar. Because you can see violence was a very important theme in both kinds of cinema. If you actually, the third one is of course what we then used to call middle of the road cinema, a category which is no longer relevant, which was dominated by Basu Chatterjee, Rishikesh Mukherjee, Gulzar, Basu Bhattacharya. But at that time, you can see this parallel, as Shamu also said. I mean, there were angry young men everywhere, and men, angry, very angry at the system. So both in commercial and in parallel cinema.
Can I just add a little bit? I have seen history a little bit more than they have. 71 was a breakaway year in world history. 71 was particularly important breakaway year for the subcontinent. 71 is when, from March till December, a smoldering war went on in our backyards. And then in December, it came out in the open, and then we had Bangladesh. Okay, so that was a very definitive moment in history which changed everything, thing concerning India, even in the world's eye. Before that, India was a country with a begging bowl. After 71, India was আবার জগত সভায় শ্রেষ্ঠ আসন লবে শ্রেষ্ঠ আসন. It may not have got the highest chair at the high table, seat at the table, but it was considered once again worthy of that high seat. And all these get reflected and get transformed into mainstream vocabulary.
Okay, yeah.
Since you mentioned history, I want to just tell you about this essay. See how audiovisual documentation is so important, because you actually capture the economic history of a country. Why I say this is I'm coming to Balaji's chapter in a book which is called A Few Bad Men, Villains in Hindi cinema of 70s. Balaji has written a very wonderful book called Pure Evil about villains, and 70s was one decade when they really stood out. And this is something we have talked about, Balaji, that you once said that these guys had a very aspirational kind of lifestyle, the best whiskeys and women, and they made, like for example, Amitabh Bachchan in Dawn. I mean, he was so cool. Every one of us fell for Amitabh as Dawn because he looked so dashing. So tell us something about that, what I talked about, what she was saying, for example. And that time smuggling was very common, and it was reflected in films that all the villains were smugglers.
See how the lights light up when you speak about
You
this.
speak about villains?
See, in the 50s and 60s, what was villainy about? लड़की से शादी करना था बस. He was competing with the hero. इतना ही तो था ना? Nothing more than that. So you had Pran Saab wanting to, take away the father-in-law's, his future father-in-law's wealth and all that. इतना ही तो था. They were the individual villains, maybe one or two flaws.
भाई आप डाकुओं को बोल रहे हो?
हाँ, आ रहे हैं उस पे. Right. But at the turn of the 70s, almost, you say Johnny Mera Naam. They had become real corporatized villains. They run multi-locational network. Even in the age of no internet and not too much of telephones, look how, this guy Pran runs, or Premnath runs in Johnny Mera Naam, from Kathmandu to Bombay to US, and there he's talking about multi-currencies. So it was the age of the corporatized villains, and they were running organizations like they were hoteliers. So who can blame a hotelier? See, Daku ko Daku hi to bologe na. He can't say he's anything else, but a smuggler can hide behind the facade of being a hotelier. And that's where all the nefarious activities happen. So things had changed very differently. They had become institutions, they had become organizations. And a lot of it was borrowed from truth in terms of how the artifacts used to get smuggled from temples of South India and get ferried out to foreign locations and all. All this was actually happening. Dacoits were there in 1950s and 60s. But because the scene moved to Bombay, obviously it's all smugglers dominating them. And even some of the heroes, they thought, let's also get into the dacoit genre just to provide some flavor to it, So for example, Feroz Khan took off his leather jackets and gloves and all that, and bikers caps, and he put on the dhoti and kurta to act in Mela. Even Dharmendra did that. So there was a flavor, but predominantly it belonged to the smuggler genre, the very urban sort of villains who would look smart and cool and aspirational, like who would not want to be like a Teja, who would not want to be like a Shakal. I'm talking about the Yadon Ki Barat Shakal, who would not want to be like a Don. If there were no police to catch them, we would all have wanted to become like them.
Also the spies and the coded messages and Great Gambler and Prem Pujari, that was great fun.
Okay, Kishore Kumar bin Jaun Kahan. There was only one voice of the decade, right? I don't think I heard any other voice.
Yeah, of the century.
of the century and the millennium as well, and this millennium. Now, Aniruddha, Kishore Kumar had been around since 1948. What suddenly happened in the late 60s? Something strange. Even Gulzar, he had been around for some time, but suddenly something happened in 1970. Did the date trigger a change? R.D. Burman, the exception of Teesri Manzil and Padosan, was really not kicking on all, was not firing on all cylinders. Gulzar, R.D. Burman, Kishore Kumar, all three of them went to top gear at the turn of the century. What really happened? And then their chemistry.
I do not know. Frankly speaking, like nobody knows. See, in Kishore Kumar, like when he sang his first so-called recorded solo, right in Ziddi, his name was not like there on the shellac. As you know, it started with Mahal. No, he was singing almost in every film where he was either a hero or a comedian. In 1956, during the recording of Aja Panchi Akela Hai, he was like nowhere to be seen. So, like he was having a difficult time managing his divorce. And of course, Madhubala. And that continued with Madhubala's illness, as you know. Now, like suddenly, and he had literally stopped singing. If you see, like his last song for Devanand in the 50s, remember the song? Aankhon Mein Kiya Ji. Yes, 57 release. And the next, it was in 65. Khwaab ho tum ya koi haqiqat.
But the Naukri songs and some of the others, early 50s also, I mean, like they've lived, they've survived the century.
Yeah, of course, of course.
In the case of Kishore Kumar, from what I remember, is that he had put on too much of weight because he was acting 2 dinners every night, right? So he was putting on weight, he was no longer the hero. So he was caught between the two till I think Anandji Bhai, I think, advised him saying, Kishore da, आप इतने अच्छे गाते हैं, तो धूप में क्यों मरते हैं? Air conditioned studio में बैठ के गाना गाइए ना. So then I think Suhag Raat was a film, I think, which changed the course, and he said that I'm going to be a singer from now on.
हाँ भाई तो गाते जाओ.
Also, Aniruddha, I remember there was this Lata ji gave this interview where she said Kishore was the voice of the virile man. It really stuck in my head because this was the age of the alpha male, 70s.
Yeah. And
so
also,
Kishore suddenly became that powerful male voice. You know, his voice texture, tone also changes, right? When you sing for Devana and then when you sing for Amitabh, it's a huge difference. You can see Kishore's arc, you know.
And during Nirupama, I think some chemistries between 2 specific people in each case happened. For example, the mantle getting, the Navketan pattern getting passed on from father to son in Hare Rama Hare Krishna, right? And the Shakti Samanta pattern passing on from father to son, from Aradhana to Gati Patang. Similarly, Gulzar and R.D. Burman sort of getting together and some chemistry happened in your,
Continue.
Right, Musafir Hu Yaro, Parichay. So I think it's all about something about the timing, something about the chemistry, something about the stars falling in place that 2 people or 3 people got together and things happened. That's why I say at the start of the session, I said, when things happen, they really happen.
Yeah. Like while on this, as Uttamadi mentioned history, I am not very young, so I remember something which I can share. I thought I would share. So, we had been to see Guddi. I was exactly 7 years, almost 4 months old at that time. And it was on 16th December 1971. 8 o'clock, the evening show would not close at 9 o'clock. It would happen from 5 to 8 o'clock, followed by a complete lull, no night shows. Because Pakistan would chal raha tha, blackout. So 8 o'clock we came out of the hall, and suddenly there were lights and a declaration over the radio, Pakistan has surrendered. 16th December 1971. And I was witness to the
Wonderful.
same.
That's an amazing one. Now, do you want to get involved in the 70s? I can ask you a question if you want. Anyone trying? Okay. Okay, I haven't even asked the question. A few days back, a very prominent film completed its golden jubilee, 50 years. Which film was it?
Diwar, 21st January.
Yeah, no, that's not my question. I'm coming to the question. Okay. देखो, ये वही मैं हूं और ये वही तुम हो. हम दोनों एक साथ इस फुटपाथ से उठे थे, लेकिन आज तुम कहां रह गए और मैं कहां आ गया. आज मेरे पास डैश है, डैश है, डैश है, डैश है, डैश है. क्या तुम्हारे पास? Can you give me all the 5 names what he said?
Bangla, Gadi, bank balance.
In the same order, please. थोड़ा टफ है ना. ठीक है, अच्छा बोलिए बोलिए अब.
Bangla, Gadi, bank balance. I'm possibly missing out one. Motor. Okay, maybe.
जो लोग कार में आते हैं वो अक्सर देर से आते हैं. Anyone else trying?
No.
Okay. Okay, it's building a. You're close enough. You're close enough. Building a. Property. Bank balance. Bangla. Gadi. 5. The 5 things he says.
Can I ask a question to them? I believe all of us here have seen Bobby, right? For me, Bobby represents the 70s for a completely different reason. I'll tell you someday later. But all of you know the songs of Bobby. In the song, in all the songs, Bobby is not like dressed up to like this, right? It's either a half sleeve or a choli or whatever. Except one song, and that is "Mujhe Kuch Kehna Hai," where she is like she is wearing a long sleeve. Why? Yes, like, that's the Bobby print. I was just telling this to Devdan, and he answered it. So, no, you're banned. You're banned from answering. Anybody here, please?
But Devdan has not prompted me
Okay, please, please.
What's the answer?
Please.
to camouflage her mehendi
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer.
that he did.
And yes, he's correct. See, Dimple got married on the 27th of March 1973, right? And the shooting for this song started on the 29th of March, when she had mehendi on her hand. So they needed to cover it up.
By the way, she was not called for the premiere of the film. She was not
Which was
invited by
pregnant
Raj
at the
Kapoor for the premiere show of the film. I think you know the answer.
Yeah, that's one more reason, right? She had what's her name? Twinkle. After marriage, right? Almost after marriage. And on the internet, Twinkle's official date of birth is something, I think, December 74. How can it happen here?
She was, I think, 2 months pregnant when Bobby premiere show happened. So that's why she
More,
was
more,
not
more,
invited.
more.
Okay.
Yes, more.
That's why she was not invited for the premiere, because
during the
Raj
shooting
Kapoor didn't
itself,
want to
na?
launch a new heroine who's already pregnant.
The long jump, the climax shoot, where she's supposed to like jump just 2 feet, she refused. She said, "No, I can't."
Okay, Ratnadi, I have a
And it
question
happened
for
in
you.
March.
Okay, I have a question for you, Ratnadi. Sex and the City. Okay, now Rehana Sultan's famous leg split in Chetna, or the graffiti in the drug den in Aya Zamana, which says things like "Be sexy" or "Eat me" or whatever, or in Mere Jeevan Saathi, the song which goes, "Prakash is a sexy playboy." Now, did the censors miss all this? Didn't they understand what all these meant, or were they okay with all this? Because you're a filmmaker yourself, so I wanted to ask you.
And I've also been the part of the CBFC. Okay, so I'll take the bricks. But the thing is, we also had songs, of course, and that's almost 20 years later, I think. Mera shirt, be sexy, mera pant, be sexy, whatever, everything else.
Sexy, mujhe log bole.
No, they didn't.
They banned that. But it ran before they could ban it.
Then they changed it, but it was sexy, and it played. So visuals and sound together have the impact is with the visuals. You show a gun fired off, but without the sound. Doesn't have the same impact. You have the sound at the background, but you don't show the gun being fired. Don't have the same impact. That's why the posters got away, definitely. But even then, the posters, that A certificate, that's why they turned it into an A certificate, which was so clever, you know.
Yeah, right.
But also audience sensibility.
You're talking about Chetna.
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 The Chetna cover
Chetna was
inspired a James Bond cover as well.
mind-boggling, you know. I mean, nobody would have thought of that visual, that content at that point of time.
But Ratnadi, what I wanted to add is that audience sensibilities have also changed. You take a film like Havas, okay, made in the 70s, Sawan Kumar Tak. The protagonist is Bindu. She's a middle-aged woman. She's a nymphomaniac. And then she enwraps the boyfriend of her daughter. And she is the main lead in that film. I don't think somebody would make a film like this today. Audience tastes have
horrible
changed.
films.
You
I've seen
that
your
apart,
mention
I'm
of
just
the word
saying.
Havas and coming after Balaji's thing, a little bit of
Charitraheen also.
a
Charitraheen
little
was
bit of
there.
personal history. My father was making a film, and the film eventually, I mean, not eventually, the film is called Trishagni. But, you know, there were options like Vasna ki Aag, Kamana ka whatever, Havas was one of the options thrown. Everybody said Trishagni, it's such a tongue twister. कोई बोल ही नहीं पाएंगे, उसका मतलब ही नहीं समझ पाएंगे. So there you are.
Very true. As you also mentioned, like Rajini Gandha, right? When Suresh Jindal approached finance, क्या? किसकी गंधा? क्या गंधा? क्लास की भू आती है इसमें. नाम हटाइए. नाम चेंज कीजिए.
Question to you, Nirupama. You know, from the Evening in Paris, Night in London, and Kashmir Ki Kali and all that, we moved back to Bombay in the 1970s, right? Bombay was right in the backdrop of most films. Now, you see things like Oberoi Sheraton, Mahalakshmi Dockyard, or Gateway of India, Versova, Khandala, you know, best buses, local trains. Now, we see the similar visage in the 1950s as well. Now, my question to both you and Aniruddha, because how is Bombay nuanced between the various filmmakers? The same camera, same lens, but between a Basu Chatterjee and a say, Ramesh Sippy or someone else, or a Yash Chopra, how did the same Bombay look so different through the different lens of these filmmakers? Was it about the story? Was it about the...
I think the
What made the
answer lies
difference?
in your own question. See, when Salim Javed writes a script, it will be focused on Amitabh and his story. So he'll take an exciting backdrop like the dockyard. But when Basu Chatterjee, who is one of my favorite filmmakers, and obviously Anida's because he has written a brilliant book on Basuda, when he makes the films on different communities in Bombay, which are absolutely beautiful films. He makes Bato Bato Mein showing the Catholics. He makes Khatta Meetha with the Parsis. He makes Piya Ka Ghar also, right?
Piya Ka Ghar, haan,
Again,
absolutely.
a film shot completely inside a house, but it shows you how a young couple is struggling to find spaces in that tiny flat, you know. They don't get time or space for intimacy. So the kind of Bombay which Basu Chatterjee showed, that is very dear to my heart, honestly. I mean, it shows you that you can be lonely and lonely in a big city, like Gaman also. There's the same thing. It talks about, or even Dastak for that matter, although Dastak is not set in Bombay, but the kind of films which in 70s talk about alienation, about being in a big city yet feeling very lonely, very hassled, and that scene mein jalan aankhon mein tufan sa kyun hai.
Feeling either very lonely
Yes.
or no privacy at all, as in
yes. But then
Priya
the
Kakkar.
bigger canvas was Salim Javed and Yash Chopra and Ramesh Sippy. I mean, they
Five-star hotels.
correct
Oberoi
five-star
Sheraton.
hotels and
Yeah, I'll just add a line to that. It's always the characters that decide. If the characters are rooted, like Rajnigandha, the characters are rooted. So that's why you have a Delhi and a Bombay equally.
exactly.
And when the characters are functioning within a stereotype, then you don't need to have, then the walls and the boundaries kind of.
You're absolutely
in
right.
fact, sorry, just to complete this, Rajnikanda actually, Vasudha changed the setting in discussion with Manu Bhandari. I think at that time they were talking to each other. Anirudh knows that. So I think it was Kanpur and Delhi in the original story.
Kanpur and Kolkata.
Kanpur and Kolkata.
Had to
Sorry,
be. It was the
Kolkata was the big
intellectual capital
city.
then.
Yeah, Kanpur was the small place, and Kolkata is where she gets the job offer. In the film, he changed it to Delhi, being still, you could say bureaucratic kind of city, quiet.
And
And
he shot
Bombay
in,
was the
he shot in
exciting.
a defense colony.
Right, and Bombay is the exciting advertising crowds and parties where Deepa feels very lonely and out of place. I thought that's a
Miss
brilliant
Chamko, that
contrast.
Chashme Badur, again, was so much in Delhi because the Delhi landscape, in fact, the incident also had happened, that kidnapping of the kids, originally that triggered.
Okay. Yeah, and
That's
Chorizabat
in,
had none
that's
of
in
those standard.
Chashme Badur. The kidnapping happened in 77. Billaranga. Yeah.
Right. You know, I've often wondered, and this is a question to all my esteemed panelists, even 60 had the same trappings, right? You had fashionable women, color had come in, O.P. Nayyar's music, Shankar Jagakishan's rock and roll. You know, Kishore Kumar was also still there, Rafi was still at his peak. Why could 60s not have been the 70s? I know Veer Sanghvi wrote a very good article about it long back, but I always wondered, why couldn't 60s be what 70s went on
Look,
to become?
60s was completely make-believe, right? Boy meets girl, Kashmir, chalo, 5 गाना, villain आया, मारपीट, कहानी खत्म.
Mere Sanam, typical.
Typical. The 70s made this, there was some semblance of reality, like some connect. जो अभी भी हम लोग कर सकते हैं. 60s escapist, ठीक है. मेरे सनम फिर क्या क्या था सब memes, भूल भी गया हूँ मैं.
I think 60s basically when color came in, and Shakti Samanta being one of the most brilliant filmmakers we've had, he really took the audience to places like Evening in Paris. So it was all about beauty and foreign locales and all that, and obviously romance, nice music. 70s mein to the
But it
entire...
was still black and white.
True, but
The
70s
hero was
are-
white and the villain was black.
Sure, but the political landscape changed majorly in 70s.
Yeah.
So everyone wanted, the small protagonist. Like, why was Manoj Kumar so successful? In fact, I have written an essay on Manoj Kumar. He had a brilliant run. Now, you may laugh and say films like Das Numbri and all are trash, but the fact remains possibly the audience wanted a common man who is, dishonest bhi hai, but wo itna bura nahi hai jitne politicians hai. You know what I mean? So he, in the end, he always turns out, मैं भारत हूँ, like in, रोटी कपड़ा और मकान.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
He used
bad,
to
but
name his
anyway,
characters
he's Bharat.
Bharat or Hindustan,
Correct.
and up like low-angle shots of cabarets and all.
So because people were so fed up of politicians by then, and corruption had come in, and then the emergency,
there were
and so much
shade-
volatility.
Once again, I have two lines to add. One is in 60s, we also have, don't forget, we had Tisri Kasam, which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
urban, rural India. We also had Bandhani, which is throwback to pre-independence India. We had these dark stories, perhaps, but so beautifully told that they still live in our hearts. But coming to why it changed, you touched upon it when you said that the political climate, with political climate also institutions. In mid-60s, FTI suddenly came into its own, so to say. And another thing, Film Finance Corporation got a lady like Indira Gandhi, and it changed into National Film Development Corporation. Later, the nomenclature changed, but the character changed earlier. And we started getting films which were about another India, which didn't have takers earlier with private distributors and producers.
Yeah.
That's why.
Characters changed. You had an angry young cop, which became the template for life. From Zanjeer till Singham and beyond, that has endured. Two lasting, templates. Anyway, so a lot of things changed. For example, who wants to add something?
No. Like Ratnadi, he said color films and not black and white. Bandini,
Okay.
Kasam, these were
Color,
black and white
guide.
films.
Yeah, I know the audience may have some questions, so let's turn it over to you guys. Yeah, the first hand that I saw going up. Yes, sir. We have time for 2 questions. Okay. Is there a mic there? Yeah, please.
Hi.
Oh, okay, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. One sec, sir. This lady has already started. 1 minute. Huh?
So
Make
I
it
have this,
quick, please. Yeah.
So I think one kind of thing that at least as a layman or thing, I can say that when Hindi movies were showing bad characters and good characters.
Sorry, let me
often-
interrupt you. Is there a question or an observation?
Yeah, question as well.
Yeah, come to the question, please. Thanks.
Okay, for example, in Manoj Kumar's Purab Paschim, right? When we are seeing, often I think what is being shown as bad and good, but the bad part is very much used to commercialize the film. So we were always very much interested in the film because of the bikini and all the kind of tam jham, and then we will say that okay, after marriage, come back to the being the good girl. And think, has it changed? Because in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai also, I think the Rani Mukherjee plays all kind of, very hot babe thing, but then when she's asked about the cultural thing, she sings Jai Jagadish Hare. So I'm saying, only in, I think, Rajinikanth we have seen at least that at least mentally a woman violates.
Sorry, is there a question? Can you
polyamorous.
come to the question, please?
Yeah, so if you are saying changing character, is there any change from there to now where a girl is bad but still she is the heroine and she is realistically bad in Hindi movies?
See, women were quite nuanced. I mean, if you look at Rajinikanth or Choti Si Baat, she has 2 choices of men. She has the power to make choices. Even if you look at a film like Blackmail, she had the power to make a choice. Okay, I think that's where it started in the 70s. Later, it became more defined in terms of how a girl changes and how she can, move from one partner to another, which became pretty commonplace in the 90s and 2000s. But I think it started there in a far more elegant way in the 70s.
By the way, what's your name? Very nice observation. If you remember, I also mentioned Manoj Kumar would name himself Bharat or Hindustan or something and have low angle cabaret shots.
Yeah. So those we wanted the mothers to die fast so that the heroes go to the violent part to take revenge.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Your question. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Indranil. I think 2 of the most iconic Hindi movies have a golden jubilee this year. 21st Jan was Diwar and 15th August Sholay, of
It's
course.
Sholay, yes.
Balaji, question to you. From an overall impact, personally, from an overall impact, from the tightness of the scripting, from the director's perspective, what's your opinion? Which is a greater movie and why?
Sholay or Diwar? 2 very different movies. 2 very different movies. Diwar was about almost a mother and son conflict, right? Sholay was a curry western. Sholay was a Western genre movie, you know, somewhere between, shot in a place, you know, it belonged to somewhere between Mexico and Uttar Pradesh, in Javed Akhtar's own words. Two very different films. So I really don't think I can, Diwar was a very personal conflict. Sholay also starts as a very personal conflict between Thakur and Gabbar. But then it also becomes a personal agenda for Viru and Jai against the same Gabbar. So that's how the script oscillated. So that's what makes it fascinating. Yeah. One final question. Anyone? Okay. Yes, sir. Your question? We'll take it offline.
Good evening.
Your father played a very big role. So did he have any influence on this?
Yes. Now, since you asked it, I already mentioned about the. I think I'm trespassing in terms of time, but we've already discussed FTI and film NFDC. NFDC started asking for scripts which they would finance, and Nabindu Ghosh, being an eminent film screenwriter, he was also teaching at FTI as guest lecturer. So what would happen is many of these young directors coming out of the film school, they would apply with their scripts. And Bollywood being Bollywood, the term wasn't there then, but Hindi films, Bombaya films, whatever we choose to call it, I prefer Bollywood. They wanted surety. They wanted money back guarantee to chahiye. ऐसी स्क्रिप्ट को क्यों दे जो 10 लोग भी देखने नहीं आएंगे and all that. So that is when Nabindu Ghosh used to argue in favor of these new names, new entrants, new experimenters. He would say that every art form has to go through a change in terms of grammar, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of stylistic interpretation. These are young people, they're trying it, and they should be given a chance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy to take more questions outside. Authors are going to be here. I think we are out of time. I think. Huh?
Please bring your copies
Yeah, I
for
think,
signing. I think we can.
Okay. Anyway, my last parting sentence. Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you taking the time and attending the session.
We should clap for the audience.
A big hand for the audience. And one thing which I can't resist saying is that, I know it's a very personal thought, but I'm sure you'll agree with me. People who grew up in the 1970s always feel young. Thank you.